Welcome to Straight Outta Trauma, the podcast where survivor truth meets neuroscience, faith, and fire. I'm your host, Shauna Chavis, trauma educator, speaker, and a voice awakening. Here, we break down the brain, the body, the spirit, and the stories that shape us. If you're healing, learning, growing, or just out here trying to break generational trauma, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Let me start this episode by saying something clearly. If you stayed, you were not weak, you were not foolish, you were not choosing abuse. You were surviving. And today, we're going to talk about trauma bonds. Not to judge you, not to shame you, but to help you understand why leaving wasn't as simple as people often make it sound. Because once you understand what was happening inside your brain and body, the shame begins to loosen its grip. You see, a trauma bond is an emotional attachment that forms in relationships where distress and relief becomes intertwined. Pain followed by affection, fear followed by reassurance, harm followed by closeness. Over time, your body begins to associate relief with the same person connected to the pain. So, you didn't stay because you loved being hurt. You stayed because your nervous system learned that this is how the tension eases. And that's not weakness, that's conditioning. See, when you live in ongoing relational stress, your nervous system stays activated. Fight, flight, freeze, or appease. Stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline remain elevated, keeping your body on alert. Then, when things temporarily calm down, your brain releases dopamine and oxytocin, chemicals connected to bonding and attachment. So your body learns this pattern: distress, relief, connection. Your nervous system doesn't experience that as danger, it experiences it as survival and attachment. That's why leaving can feel terrifying, not because you're wrong, but because your body believes safety is being removed. Breaking a trauma bond can feel like withdrawal. Your body isn't just grieving a person, it's losing a regulation pattern it depended on. So you may experience anxiety, panic, guilt, emptiness, intense longing, not because you should go back, but because your nervous system is recalibrating. Healing requires learning safety without chaos. And this is where faith gives us language for what many survivors experience. Scripture gives us a powerful example of trauma bonding in the story of Samson and Delilah, found in the book of Judges, chapter 16. Samson was strong, gifted, chosen, and yet he remained emotionally attached to someone who repeatedly betrayed him. Delilah pressed him, manipulated him, and she tested his boundaries. Scripture tells us that she questioned him again and again, and that she nagged him day after day until he was worn out to death. That line matters. Samson didn't give in because he lacked strength. He gave in because of prolonged emotional pressure. It wore him down. Even after repeated warning signs, even after betrayal, he stayed connected. That's trauma bonding. It's not ignorance, it's not foolishness, it's attachment overriding self-protection. Samson's body and emotions stayed bonded when his mind knew the risk. And when the bond finally broke, it didn't happen gently. It happened through loss, pain, and reckoning. But here's what matters most. Samson's story doesn't end in abandonment by God. Even after everything, even after his choices cost him deeply, God remained present. This reminds us that trauma bonds do not disqualify you from grace. Attachment to harm doesn't cancel God's purpose in your life. Breaking a trauma bond doesn't start with willpower. It starts with safety. Your nervous system must learn a new truth. Safety does not require pain. That learning happens through education, consistency, boundaries, safe relationships, faith, and time. You don't rip a trauma bond away. You replace it slowly with regulation and with truth. Let me say this plainly. You stayed because your body was doing what it was designed to do, to protect you and to help you survive. Healing is about teaching your nervous system that danger has passed, and it can definitely learn that. If this episode stirred something in you, pause and breathe. Nothing about you is broken. Nothing about you is beyond healing. Healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about teaching your body that you are safe now. And if no one has told you this before, I am proud of you. I'm proud of you for surviving, and I'm proud of you for choosing to heal. If this episode spoke to you, blessed you, or helped you to understand yourself in a deeper way, share it with someone, leave me a comment, but definitely subscribe. And remember, your healing is not just personal, it's generational. Until next time, keep breathing, keep healing, and keep walking in your God-given power.